have to speak loudly. My apologies. But I'm good at doing that, apparently. I'm Christopher Sabat. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I work oftentimes work at a company called Funimation. They're a nice little company out at Dallas that has been growing, like the end of a cure or whatever, and it's just kind of absorbing everything as it goes along. I started in like 1998 on this goofy show called Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z! I like that. Whoever said that, I like you. Good, to the point. Yeah, I started there in like 98. I was the voice director for the series, which meant I got to cast myself for everything, and it was really cool. Actually, in some defense, like back in the early days, there were only like 11 people on our cast list, so a lot of us had to play a lot of different things, and I was the only guy with a super low voice, so I get to play anyone that was a low voice, and then everybody else that they couldn't find anyone else for. So I ended up playing Vegeta, and Piccolo, and Yamcha, and Mr. Popo, and Kami, and the Dragons, and Gaz, and Mez, and Zarbon, and Raccoon, and Jace. Yeah, you can look it up, and it's
Wikipedia.
Yeah, Wikipedia. You can look it up in the Wikipedia. Wow, there are like 3 Gokus in the room, or at least 2. No, hold on, there's just 2.
1, 2.
I see a Roshi.
Oh, hi, Goku.
Roshi. Sweet. Oh, that's cool. It's like, yeah, it's like cool. What happened to your hair, Goku? You're like sort of super. Oh, okay.
His hair frizzes easily.
You're like emo Super Saiyan. Yeah, you're like Nirvana Super Saiyan. I like it. It's good. That's what happens if they go like beyond like a Super Saiyan 5. It just becomes like a relaxed kind of. Anyway, so yeah, I played a lot of characters in Dragon Ball Z. That was awesome. And that show like never ends. We're still making it. To this day, we're still working on that show. Like, I'm sure there's going to be some video game or something we have to do this year for it. But it just seems like, just like the show itself, it just kind of just keeps standing there, and no matter how much you blow it up, like the smoke clears and it's just going. And like, come on. All right. Well, I'm not going to complain because it was awesome. So after I worked on Dragon Ball, then Funimation was like, oh, there's other anime out there too. We should maybe try and get another one. So I got this show called Yu Yu Hakusho. I play this guy named Kubar in it. He's awesome. He has a sword and a cat named Aikichi. And his spirit sword and a pinky finger of love.
He has a crush on Hiei's sister.
And he has a crush on Hiei's sister.
Why do you like cats so much?
I don't know.
Because they're awesome.
He likes cats and Megalica, which makes no sense. Cats and heavy metal music. Awesome. So,
It's a proper balance.
yeah, so I played that dude on that show, and then let's see what happened after that. Then we worked on a show called Blue Gender, which is like the first show that, honestly, it was like one of the first shows that kind of paved the way for the type of recording that we do now. Because it was on Blue Gender, where I was like, come on, we've got to get all the assets. I want to be able to hear the Japanese voice. I want to be able to hear the sound effects. I want to hear the music when we do this. But because before, when we worked on Dragon Ball Z, they were like, the Japanese weren't really quick when it came to delivering materials for Dragon Ball. In fact, the show had been dubbed like 8,000 years ago in Japan, and so I think all their materials were just floating on a boat somewhere. So we ended up getting most of the materials for the early recordings of Dragon Ball from Mexico. So when we listened, so if we even attempted to listen to the early dubs, we didn't hear the Japanese voices. We heard like the Mexican voices, and that's when I learned that Chi-Chi was named Milk in the Japanese dub. I'm sorry, in the Mexican dub, because Chi-Chi means boob or something like that. So that didn't stick. And then the same thing with Yu Yu Hakusho. We just really weren't able to, like, when we were working on these giant machines that had the video on it, so we couldn't listen to what was on that video cassette. So we just kind of had to guess a lot of it. Blue Gender was the one where we first started really studying how the Japanese do their voice work and tried to mimic that. It may or may not have worked, but it did definitely set the stage for other shows, like the next one I was in, which is a show called Fruits Basket. Fruits Basket is a very unique show in my life. And I don't think I've ever quite played anything quite anywhere as flamboyant as that character. I'm oftentimes cast as dudes who have swords or huge muscles or don't have their shirts on most of the time.
But he's fancy in his own way.
For you.
What? Oh, you're gonna make me take off my shirt?
No, I for you. I don't mind.
Oh. Apparently this is timely. This is appropriate. Should I open it now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Open it!
Open it.
It's an animal. I don't know if it's breathing. What is
It's a dead
this?
hamster. It's a mug.
It's a mug.
Filled with
Did you
candy.
say about the shirt last night?
Oh.
Oh my God!
The mug.
That is the best thing I've ever seen.
This beautiful mug has been passed down the Armstrong line for generations. Sweet. I will drink hot sparkles every morning out of it. Thank you. That's really sweet. I love this. Is so cool.
Plus you got some candy and stuff in there.
And some contraceptives with those for. And Pocky. I sometimes wish.
And grape candy. That grape candy's really good.
I'm gonna eat it right now. Actually, I hope it doesn't do to me what it did in a. I was at a meeting in Japan.
Yeah.
I was working on a video game with Namco Bandai, and I was at the DIMPS headquarters, who was the developer at the time. And on the way to the meeting that I had with them, I stopped by the convenience store, like a Japanese convenience store, like it was in the train station. And they had all this crazy candy, and I'm fascinated with just candy of all sorts. And they had, just like Pocky has men's Pocky, there was this candy that said, for her. And then there was this other candy that said, for him. I'm like, obviously, I'm a dude, I'm alright. I mean, the man candy. So I grabbed it, and I didn't actually try it until I was sitting in the meeting, and I was really jet lagged, I was super tired, and I opened it up, I popped one of the candies in my mouth, and it's like, you know, whatever, it tastes like eucalyptus or something like that. And so I'm like, wow, my breath is fresh. Meeting is going on, all of a sudden they ask me a question, I'm like, oh, wait. Jesus, oh God, what the hell is this? And it cracked open, and then the foulest taste ever was in my mouth. It was just disgusting. And I'm like, what is this candy? And they're like, oh, it's also fish egg. So it's like, it's supposed to be good for testosterone.
Nasty.
So gross. So yeah, don't get mysterious candy in Japan. Eat it before you go into your meeting. And determine whether it has fish eggs in it or not. It was so thank you for this.
Hey, no problem.
So yeah, Ayami in Fruits Basket was interesting. He's very tall. He has a lot of skills in making dresses. And I think he might have liked boys, actually. I think he was attracted to men and women.
We all know he was
Point was, you're good. We know the truth.
And,
He looks beautiful in a wedding
and he had a
dress.
crazy laugh. And he was really fun to play, honestly. I didn't expect to, like when I saw Fruits Basket come in, I watched some of the episodes. I was talking to Justin, and he was like, hey, I've got a part for you on the show. I'm like, oh, is it that guy Hattori? I think I'd like Hattori. He goes, no, actually, Kent Williams is going to play him. I'm like, well, who am I going to play? And he goes, oh, I think you'll like it. And he handed me the episode on tape. And I went home and watched it. I'm like, nice person, you. Thank you for catching me. And then after that, it kind of gets really blurry. We started jumping into the Dragon Ball series after that, and that was really fun. I played Yamcha in Dragon Ball. Who's an awesome character in Dragon Ball. Like, he's way cool in Dragon Ball. He's got cat, he's super powerful, and he's like a desert punk, and he has problems with like girls or whatever. But then man, when it gets to a Dragon Ball Z series, something really bad happens to him. Like, I guess when a hand goes through pierces your stomach and all the way through your heart, and like you die, and then you come back to life, and maybe you die again or whatever, that can probably affect you. But it really didn't do wonders for Yamcha's personality. By the end of the show, he's just so super lame. He just looks like he's just sitting around with Chi-Chi, like, so if Goku dies, do you like want to date her? It was really, really bad. The voice actor John Bergmeyer, who plays Tien Shinhan, he and I have this joke rivalry between Tien and Yamcha as to who's the douchiest between the two. And there was one of the Namco Bandai games where it was like this kind of a what-if story where Tien and Yamcha fused to become Tiancha. Tiancha. It was awesome.
I saw that.
Yeah, it was awesome. Okay, so she gave me this mug for this dude named Alex Louis Armstrong on Full Metal Alchemist, and that show is just super awesome. I love Full Metal. It's such a. I remember when we were first working on Full Metal Alchemist, I watched as much of the series as they had on them at the time, and I was just totally fascinated by it. It was amazing, and I still like that. It's a shame though that Alex Louis Armstrong becomes a very weird character towards the end of it. You can't quite tell what he's doing. So by the end of the series, I really had no clue what was going on, because he'd only be in the episode for like a few minutes, and he'd either go, yes, secret, yes, or he'd go, oh boys, I'm so happy, and then, okay, that's the end of that episode. The next episode was, secret. Can't talk about things. And then at the end, he's like, I'll see you later. So I was really happy when Brotherhood came out. Because he had lots of lines in that. It was awesome. And he had a sister. And like, I don't want to spoil anything in case some of you haven't seen it. But if you haven't seen it, shame on you. Shame on you. Shame. The shame be brought.